The sound of shattering glass echoed through the magnificent hall of the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami. The crowd of international leaders panicked as a figure burst in like a whirlwind. Chris Pine, with a cold gaze, moved like a phantom, with no weapon in hand. He took down the elite security team in an instant. A Krav Maga strike sent one man crumbling, followed by a shot from the gun he had just seized. The crowd screamed, scattering in chaos. Chris didn't blink, his hand swiping across a control panel to snatch the stellar key, a small device capable of controlling satellites, powerful enough to cause a global catastrophe. In less than a minute, he vanished through the broken window, leaving chaos in his wake. Meanwhile, a few miles away, in a small cafe by South Beach, Matt Damon sat pensively, his gaze drifting over the sparkling waves. This man was once the top agent of Shadow Force, a renowned secret organization. Now, he lived in seclusion, far from the world of guns and conspiracies. His stubbled beard and faded t-shirt made him look like an ordinary civilian, but his sharp eyes still revealed a hint of the warrior within. The cafe door swung open. An older, silver-haired man walked in with a calm demeanor. It was Tom Clancy, the founder of Shadow Force. Tom sat down across from Matt, placing a cup of coffee on the table. "We need you back, Matt," he said, his voice low but authoritative. "The world is facing a great danger." Matt shook his head, his gaze distant. "I'm out, Tom. This life suits me better." He pointed towards the beach, where the waves gently lapped the shore. Tom didn't give up. He told him about the attack at the Fontainebleau, about the Stellar Key, and about Chris Pine, a former Shadow Force agent now acting as a cold-blooded assassin. Matt listened, but his resolve remained unshaken. Rejoining Shadow Force meant giving up the peace he had worked so hard to find. Tom Syed stood up and prepared to leave. Just then, the cafe door burst open again. A masked man stormed in, a handgun brandished in his hand. "Everybody get down," he roared, pointing the gun at the barista. The customers in the cafe panicked, a few screaming. Matt remained seated, his eyes observing the robber's every move. He recognized the gun as a Beretta 92 FS, the type used by professional gunmen, not petty thieves. Something was wrong. Before Matt could act, a terrifying explosion shook all of Miami. The cafe trembled, glass shattered, and a blinding light descended from the sky. An out-of-control satellite had crashed directly into the area, reducing the cafe to rubble. Smoke and dust filled the air, and screams echoed all around. Matt crawled out from under a broken table, blood trickling down his forehead. But he remained calm. Tom lay motionless under a pile of debris. He checked for a pulse. There was no sign of life. Police and rescue teams arrived quickly, but Matt had already disappeared into the night. In his mind, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The explosion was no accident. The Stellar Key wasn't just a device. It was the key to manipulating satellites, and someone was using it to cause disasters. Matt knew he could no longer stay on the sidelines. At the CIA headquarters in Miami, Agent Jessica Alba received orders to investigate the incident. She stood before a large screen, analyzing satellite data. The debris indicated that the guidance signal had been tampered with, and all trails led to a secret organization in Tokyo, Japan. Jessica called an emergency meeting with the CIA leadership. "We have identified the perpetrator," she said, her voice sharp as ice. "But the real mastermind is still lurking somewhere out there." Just then, the sound of shattering glass rang out. Chris Pine kicked through the conference room window, bursting in like a storm. With a series of lightning-fast moves, he snatched the Stellar Key from Jessica's hand. shooting down 2 guards before they could even draw their weapons. The leaders panicked, but Chris didn't stop. 3 other figures appeared. Angelina Jolie, a female assassin with masterful Muay Thai skills, Vin Diesel, a martial arts expert, and Mark Wahlberg, a weapons master. All 4 were members of Shadow Force, now acting for their own purposes. Jessica hid under the table. Her heart pounding, she realized there was only one person capable of facing this team of assassins, Matt Damon. She had to find him, even though he had declared he was done with the world of espionage. In another part of Miami, Matt stood on the beach, looking out at the ocean. The phone in his pocket vibrated. A text from an unknown number. Tom isn't dead. Find me in Coconut Grove. Jay. He clenched his fist, knowing his peaceful life had officially come to an end. What region are you listening to this story from? And what time is it where you are? Please leave a comment below to let me know you're doing well and are fully focused on this story. My dear friend, we will continue right after this. Night fell on Miami, the neon lights on Ocean Drive flickering like the city's heartbeat. Matt Damon stood in a dark alley, his black jacket blending into the shadows. The explosion at the cafe still haunted him. The image of Tom Clancy lying motionless under the rubble, weighing heavily on his heart. The message from Jessica Alba had drawn him here, to a hidden corner of South Beach, where clues about the Stellar Key were beginning to surface. He clenched his fists, feeling the familiar rush of adrenaline, a sensation he had tried so hard to bury. A black SUV sped by, its headlights sweeping across the alley. Matt pressed himself against the wall, watching 3 men get out. They were dressed in black, carrying Glock 19 handguns and wireless earpieces, the mark of professional mercenaries. He's somewhere around here. One of them whispered, gun at the ready. Matt gave a faint smile. They were hunting him. But the hunter was about to become the prey. He lunged out like a phantom. A Muay Thai kick struck the first man in the chest, sending him flying into a dumpster. The second man raised his gun, but Matt had already closed in, locking his arm in a judo hold and snapping his wrist. The gun clattered to the ground, and a Krav Maga punch finished off the third man. All 3 were down in less than 10 seconds. Matt searched their pockets and found an encrypted phone. The screen displayed an address in Tokyo, Japan, along with a name, Kenji Sato. Jessica Alba appeared from the end of the alley, her gaze sharp. You're faster than I thought, she said, handing Matt a file. The explosion at the cafe was no accident. The Stellar Key can manipulate satellites, and someone is using it to cause chaos. All trails lead to Tokyo. Matt glanced through the file, seeing a picture of Chris Pine at the Fontainebleau conference. Chris was with Shadow Force, he said, his voice low. But who is he working for now? Jessica led Matt to a temporary CIA base in an abandoned warehouse in Wynwood. Inside, a large screen displayed the tampered satellite data. We've traced the signal, Jessica explained. The mastermind is Kenji Sato, a crime lord in Tokyo. He runs an underground organization beneath Shibuya, and Chris Pine is his enforcer. Matt nodded, but his eyes showed a hint of suspicion. Jessica seemed to know more than she was letting on. Suddenly, an explosion erupted. A smoke grenade flew through the window, filling the base with thick white smoke. Matt pulled Jessica to the floor, just in time to avoid a burst of automatic fire. 4 mercenaries stormed in, weapons raised. Matt rolled, grabbed the gun from a man he'd taken down earlier, and fired a precise shot into the leader's shoulder. He collapsed, but the other 3 charged forward. Matt sprang to his feet, unleashing a lightning-fast series of Wing Chun strikes, hitting one man in the throat. He spun, dodging a knife thrust from the second man. then used an Aikido lock to slam him to the ground. The last man raised his gun, but Matt had already drawn a Beretta from his waistband, firing 2 shots into his chest. The smoke began to clear, and Jessica got up, breathing heavily. "They knew we were here," she said, her voice trembling. Matt frowned. "Someone in the CIA is playing both sides." They both rushed outside and jumped onto a powerful motorcycle. Matt revved the engine. Speeding through the neon-lit streets of Miami, behind them, 2 SUVs gave chase. Machine guns firing relentlessly. Matt leaned, dodging a volley of bullets, then spun the bike 180 degrees to face his pursuers. He drew his gun and shot out the lead SUV's tire, causing it to flip over. The second one accelerated, but Matt had already jumped onto the sidewalk. Weaving through the crowd on Ocean Drive, a man in the SUV pulled out a grenade launcher. Matt saw the flash from the barrel and instantly leaped off the bike, rolling over an outdoor bar counter. The grenade exploded, blowing up a corner of the street. Matt got up and ran into the crowd, using his parkour skills to climb onto a balcony. From there, he took aim and brought down the grenadier with a single shot to the shoulder. The second SUV spun out of control and crashed into a lamppost. Jessica caught up with Matt, pulling him into another alley. "We have to get to Tokyo," she said. "Kenji Sato is planning a much larger attack. If we don't stop him, Miami will be just the beginning." Matt looked at her, his eyes sharp. He knew Jessica was hiding something, but right now, the Stellar Key was the priority. "Get a plane ready," he said. "I'll find Chris Pine." As they were leaving, Matt received another text from the unknown number Coconut Grove. 2 a.m. "Don't trust Jessica." He gripped his phone. Sensing the approaching storm, Tokyo was waiting, and Kenji Sato would not be an easy target. But Matt Damon had never backed down from a challenge. With his martial arts skills and agent instincts, he was ready to walk into the eye of the storm. The Tokyo night was brilliant with lights, but beneath the bustling streets of Shibuya, an underworld was simmering. Matt Damon emerged from the subway station. Blending into the crowd at the Shibuya crossing, his black coat concealed the handgun tucked at his waist, and his eyes scanned the crowd, searching for any sign of Chris Pine. The intel from Jessica Alba was clear. Kenji Sato, a notorious crime lord, ran a secret organization in an underground bunker beneath this district. The Stellar Key was in his hands. Matt slipped through the crowd and entered a dark alley untouched by the neon glow. A steel door hidden behind a faded advertising sign was the entrance. He knocked 3 times in the sequence he'd gotten from the code in Miami. The door creaked open, revealing a staircase leading down into darkness. The air was cold. With the faint smell of metal and gunpowder, Matt clenched his fists, ready for a fight. Down in the bunker, a black market came into view. Tables were laden with weapons, tech devices, and encrypted data, all being traded by tattooed Yakuza members. Matt, disguised as a dealer in sunglasses, observed quietly. In a far corner, Chris Pine was making a deal with a man in a black suit who was holding a briefcase. Matt realized that briefcase could contain the Stellar Key. He moved closer, but a Yakuza suddenly blocked his path, a dagger flashing in his hand. Matt dodged the thrust with a smooth judo move, spinning to lock the man in a chokehold and force him to the ground. The commotion drew attention. Chris turned, his icy gaze meeting Matt's. Without a word, Chris drew his gun and shot out an overhead light, plunging the entire market into darkness. The crowd panicked, and screams erupted. Matt charged in, unleashing a flurry of Wing Chun blows that took down 2 approaching Yakuza. He grabbed an Uzi from the floor and fired a burst to clear a path. Chris ran for the emergency stairs. Briefcase in hunt. Matt gave chase, weaving through the overturned stalls. A large Yakuza blocked his way, swinging a katana. Matt ducked under the blade, delivered a Muay Thai kick to the man's stomach, then pistol whipped him in the temple. He raced up the stairs just in time to see Chris jump onto a motorcycle parked at the alley's entrance. The engine roared, and Chris sped out onto the main street. Matt leaped onto a nearby Yamaha, revved the engine, and took off in pursuit. The Shibuya crossing appeared before them, with hundreds of people crossing the street. Chris weaved through the crowd, firing back with a Desert Eagle. Matt ducked to avoid the bullets and accelerated, the tires sparking against the pavement. A bullet grazed his shoulder, tearing through his jacket. Matt gritted his teeth, drew his handgun, and shot out Chris's rear tire. The motorcycle wobbled, but Chris jumped off. Rolling into another alley, the fight moved into a confined space. Chris was waiting, 2 daggers in his hands, his eyes filled with killing intent. "You shouldn't have gotten involved, Matt," he snarled. Matt didn't answer, lunging forward with a Krav Maga strike aimed at Chris's wrist. The two fought fiercely, the clash of daggers and fists creating sharp, cold sounds. Matt threw a taekwondo kick, pushing Chris back, but Chris retaliated with a quick thrust that nearly struck Matt in the chest. He dodged just in time, locked Chris's arm with an Aikido hold, and threw him to the ground. The briefcase fell open, but there was no stellar key inside, only a decoy device. Suddenly, a bullet whizzed past Matt's ear from a distance. He looked up and saw a sniper on the opposite rooftop. Chris took the opportunity to get up and run. Matt dove into a nearby store to get out of the line of fire. Through the glass, he saw the sniper adjusting his scope. Matt picked up a shard of broken glass, using it as a mirror to reflect the neon lights and blind his opponent. He drew his gun and fired a single, precise shot at the sniper. The man fell, his rifle dropping from his hands. Matt ran outside to check the sniper's body. A communication device in the man's ear emitted a voice Kenji Sato's order: "Eliminate the target." Matt took the device and heard the coordinates of an island off the coast of Japan. The stellar key wasn't here. It was there, in Kenji Sato's hands. But Matt sensed something was wrong. Why did Chris bring a fake suitcase? And was Jessica Alba really trustworthy? He returned to Shibuya Crossing, blending into the crowd. His phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number read Miami. Coconut Grove. In 48 hours. Don't let Jessica fool you. Matt clenched the phone, his eyes turning cold. Tokyo was just the beginning. The real battle awaited him ahead. And Kenji Sato would not surrender easily. A light rain fell on the quiet streets of Coconut Grove. Matt Damon stood in a safe house, a shabby apartment hidden behind a row of coconut trees. The dim light illuminated his face, revealing old scars from his years as an agent. The trip to Tokyo had confirmed Kenji Sato was behind the stellar key, but the clue about Chris Pine's fake suitcase made him suspect a traitor within the CIA. The mysterious message telling him to return to Miami only complicated matters further. Matt checked his Beretta pistol, ensuring the barrel was clean and a round was chambered. The apartment door creaked open. A figure stepped inside, her red hair gleaming under the light. It was Emma Stone, a former intelligence agent, and also Matt's ex-lover. She wore a leather jacket, her gaze sharp, yet tinged with weariness. "You haven't changed a bit, Matt," she said, tossing a USB drive onto the table. "Information on Kenji Sato. He's planning to use the stellar key to control military satellites." Matt plugged the USB into his laptop and scanned the data blueprints of an underground base in Tokyo. A list of bank transactions, and a familiar name, Jessica Alba. She sold us out, Matt said in a low voice. Emma nodded. Jessica contacted Kenji 2 months ago. She wants the Stellar Key in exchange for power. Matt clenched his fists, the feeling of betrayal twisting like a knife, but he had no time to dwell on emotions. A strange noise came from outside, the screech of tires on the wet road. Look out, Emma shouted, pushing Matt to the floor as a hail of bullets ripped through the window. Glass shattered, and 4 mercenaries burst in, clad in tactical armor and brandishing AR-15 rifles. Matt rolled, grabbed a dagger from the table, and threw it straight into the nearest man's chest. The man collapsed, but the other 3 opened fire. Matt dove over the kitchen counter, using it as a shield, then launched a taekwondo kick that sent one man's rifle flying. Emma drew her pistol and fired 2 shots into the second man's head, but the third one charged, tackling her to the ground. Matt didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, using a Krav Maga hold to lock the man's neck, breaking his collarbone with a sickening crack. The last man raised his gun, but Matt was faster, delivering a Muay Thai punch to the jaw that sent him sprawling. Emma stood up, gasping for breath. They know we're here, she said. Jessica gave away our location. Matt nodded, checking the mercenary's body. A communication device in the man's ear broadcast Jessica's voice. Eliminate the targets. Leave no survivors. They both rushed outside and jumped into a parked jeep. Matt slammed on the gas, speeding through the rain-soaked streets of Miami. Behind them, 3 black SUVs gave chase, their headlights blinding. A mercenary leaned out and fired a machine gun. Matt swerved, dodging a volley of bullets, then suddenly slammed on the brakes, causing the first SUV to crash into a telephone pole. He drew his gun and shot out the tires of the second one, causing it to flip over, but the third one stayed right on their tail. Emma opened the window and threw a smoke grenade behind them. Thick, white smoke billowed across the road. Matt seized the opportunity and swerved into a narrow alley. He jumped out, pulled Emma up onto a nearby roof, and used his parkour skills to scale the walls. From above, they saw the mercenaries searching the alley. Matt picked up a brick and threw it, hitting one man on the head and knocking him out. He jumped down, unleashing a flurry of Wing Chun strikes that took down the second man in an instant. Emma shot the last man from the roof, the bullet hitting him precisely in the shoulder. They both climbed back onto the roof, catching their breath. Emma showed Matt a digital map. Kenji Sato is hiding on an island off the coast of Japan. The Stellar Key is there. But Chris Pine wasn't working alone. He has a team: Angelina Jolie, Vin Diesel, and Mark Wahlberg. They're all Shadow Force. Matt nodded, his eyes cold. I need a team, and I don't trust Jessica anymore. Emma gave a faint smile. I'll help you, but for a price. Matt looked at her, remembering the old days. Name it. Emma tilted her head. After this is over, you owe me a night. Matt shook his head, but the corner of his mouth quirked up. He knew Emma wasn't easy to deal with, but she was the only one he could trust right now. Matt's phone vibrated. A new message, Tokyo. Secluded island. In 72 hours. Tom Clancy is still alive. He looked at Emma, his eyes filled with determination. Get ready. We're going to Japan to end this. But deep down, Matt knew that Jessica Alba and Kenji Sato wouldn't let him reach his goal easily. Matt Damon sat in a motorboat, his sharp eyes scanning the horizon. The secluded island ahead, where Kenji Sato was hiding, was a natural fortress with steep cliffs and dense jungle. The Stellar Key, a device that could manipulate satellites, was there, and Matt was determined to get it back. Beside him, Emma Stone checked her Sig Sauer pistol, her eyes fixed on the GPS screen. "We only get one shot," she whispered. Matt nodded, his hand tightening around his dagger. The boat docked in darkness. Matt and Emma silently scaled the cliff, using their parkour skills to navigate the slippery ledges. At the top of the cliff was a barbed wire fence, guarded by mercenaries carrying AK-47 rifles. Matt gave a signal, throwing a rock to create a diversion. As one guard turned away, he rushed forward, delivering a Krav Maga punch to the temple, taking him down silently. Emma fired a silenced shot, dropping the other one. They both snuck into the forest surrounding the base. Inside, fluorescent lights illuminated an underground complex. Loud electronic music pulsed, masking their footsteps. Matt and Emma split up, melting into the shadows. Matt spotted a group of mercenaries on patrol, led by Angelina Jolie, the assassin of Shadow Force. She moved like a panther, her steel-knuckled boxing gloves glinting. Matt hid behind a crate, observing. He knew a direct confrontation with Angelina would be suicide. Suddenly, a mercenary discovered the body of his comrade. The alarm blared, and red lights flashed. Matt sprang out, unleashing a flurry of Wing Chun strikes, taking down 2 men before they could fire. But Angelina was already in front of him, her eyes cold. "You shouldn't have come here, Matt," she said, lunging with a Muay Thai kick. Matt dodged just in time, countering with a judo throw to lock her arm, but Angelina reversed the move, landing a steel-knuckled punch to his chest. Matt staggered back, gasping for air, then leaped up, delivering a spinning taekwondo kick to her shoulder. Gunshots echoed from a distance. Emma was facing Vin Diesel, Shadow Force's martial arts expert. He swung a steel rod, cornering Emma. She dodged the blow and fired a shot into Vin's leg, but he still charged forward, landing a karate chop on her shoulder. Emma growled, using Aikido to throw Vin to the ground, then locked him in a chokehold. But Mark Wahlberg, the weapons master, appeared with a grenade launcher. Matt yelled, "Emma, look out." A grenade exploded, blowing away a corner of the base. Matt pulled Emma behind a wall, shielding her from the shrapnel. He drew his twin Beretta pistols, firing continuously to provide cover. Mark returned fire with a machine gun, forcing Matt and Emma to retreat deeper into the jungle. They ran through dense bushes, the sounds of mercenaries chasing them from behind. Matt stopped and set a smoke grenade as a trap. When the enemy soldiers rushed in, white smoke erupted, and Matt used the opportunity to take down 3 men with lightning-fast Muay Thai strikes. Finally, they reached a cliff overlooking the sea. Chris Pine stood there, the suitcase containing the stellar key in his hand. "You're too late, Matt," he said, his eyes full of defiance. Matt stepped forward, ready to fight. Chris drew a dagger and lunged with terrifying speed. The two fought on the edge of the cliff, their taekwondo and Krav Maga blows clashing fiercely. Matt landed a kick to Chris's chest, but he retaliated with a knife slash across Matt's shoulder. Blood flowed, but Matt didn't stop. He locked Chris's arm, threw him to the ground, and snatched the suitcase. But Chris just smirked. "You think that's the real stellar key?" He got up, drawing a gun. "Kenji Sato is in Tokyo. This was just a decoy." Matt opened the suitcase, only to find an empty device. He gritted his teeth, realizing he had been tricked. A helicopter appeared, dropping a rope ladder. Chris jumped on and disappeared into the night. Matt and Emma were left standing. "Bunting. Is he telling the truth?" Emma asked. Matt shook his head. There's only one way to find out. Matt's phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number, Tokyo. Shibuya. In 48 hours. Tom Clancy needs you. Matt looked out at the sea, his gaze resolute. Kenji Sato was playing a dangerous game, and Matt would not let him win. He turned to Emma. Get the team ready. We're going to Tokyo and finishing this. But deep down, Matt knew that Jessica, Alba, and Shadow Force were still setting traps. And the battle on the island was only the beginning. The C-130 Hercules aircraft roared across the Pacific sky, the moonlight reflecting dimly on its metal fuselage. Inside the cargo bay, Matt Damon stood before a tactical screen, his eyes sharp and cold. The ambush on the island off the coast of Japan had confirmed Kenji Sato was holding the Stellar Key in Tokyo. But Chris Pine's fake suitcase made Matt suspect an inside traitor, Jessica Alba, who was leading the CIA operation. Sato said to him, her voice calm, but her eyes holding a mysterious look. We have the best team for this mission, she said, gesturing to the three people standing next to Matt. Ryan Reynolds, a sniper with a mischievous grin, was cleaning his Barrett M82 rifle. Zoe Saldana, an expert getaway driver, checked the positioning device on her wrist. Chris Hemsworth, a master of crowd control, swayed to the music from his headphones with a nonchalant air. They were former Shadow Force agents, summoned by Matt to confront Kenji Sato. I don't need by-the-book soldiers, Matt said in a low voice. Just people who know how to survive. The plane had been converted into a temporary command center with advanced radar and satellite surveillance monitors. Jessica presented the plan. The team would land in Manila, then take a boat to Tokyo to assault Kenji's underground base beneath Shibuya. The Stellar Key is the ultimate space weapon, she emphasized. If it falls into Kenji's hands, he could destroy any city. Matt nodded, but his eyes never left Jessica. The mysterious message about Tom Clancy still haunted him. Suddenly, the plane shook violently. Red lights flashed, and an alarm blared. We're under attack, Zoe yelled, rushing to the cockpit. Matt drew his twin Beretta pistols, scanning the bay. A team of mercenaries in black armor rappelled from the ceiling, MP5 submachine guns in hand. Jessica backed away, but her eyes were cold, as if she had already known this would happen. Matt lunged forward, delivering a Muay Thai kick to one man's chest. Sending him flying into a wall, he fired 2 shots, taking down a second man just as he raised his weapon. But the plane suddenly lost pressure, and the cabin entered a state of zero gravity. The mercenaries floated, firing wildly. Matt adapted quickly, using his parkour skills to bounce off a wall and deliver a series of Wing Chun strikes to one man's face. He snatched an MP5 and fired continuously, taking down 3 mercenaries in mid-air. Ryan clung to a seat, aiming his sniper rifle through a window and taking down a man who was trying to cut the plane's safety lines. Zoe wrestled with a mercenary in the cockpit, using a judo throw to lock his arm and smash his head against the control panel. Chris Hemsworth leaped up, using a metal bar as a weapon, landing a karate strike on another man's neck. But Jessica suddenly drew a gun and pointed it at Matt. You should stop, Matt, she said, her voice as cold as ice. The Stellar Key doesn't belong to the CIA. Betrayal. Matt gritted his teeth, but he wasn't surprised. He rolled, dodging a shot from Jessica, then delivered a taekwondo kick that knocked the gun from her hand. Jessica countered with a Krav Maga strike aimed at Matt's throat, but he blocked it, using Aikido to throw her to the floor. Why? Jessica eroared. She gave a faint smile. Power. Kenji pays better than the CIA. Suddenly, A mercenary threw a grenade. Matt leaped up and kicked the grenade through an open window, where it exploded in midair. He rushed towards Jessica and locked her in a chokehold, but she broke free, jumped into an escape pod, and disappeared. The plane tilted sharply, out of control. Zoe yelled from the cockpit, "The pilot's been shot. We're going down." Matt rushed into the cockpit and grabbed the control yoke. He was not a pilot, but his agent training helped him stay calm. The plane gradually stabilized, but Ryan reported, "We've lost contact with the CIA. There's a jamming signal coming from Tokyo." Matt looked through the window. Seeing the sparkling city lights in the distance, "Kenji Sato knows we're coming." He said, "Prepare the boat. We're entering Tokyo by sea." Chris Hemsworth patted Matt's shoulder. "You're a madman, but I like it." Matt didn't smile. He took a communication device from the body of a mercenary and heard Chris Pine's voice. "Kenji is waiting for you in Shibuya. Don't let Matt survive." Matt gripped the device tightly, his eyes burning. Jessica had betrayed him, but Tom Clancy might still be alive. Tokyo was waiting, and Matt wouldn't stop until the stellar key was destroyed. The Tokyo sky was hazy with night fog, the neon lights from the skyscrapers reflecting onto the damp streets. Matt Damon led his team through the subway system, his sharp gaze scanning every dark corner. After Jessica Alba's betrayal on the plane, he knew time was running out. The stellar key, a satellite control device, was in the hands of Kenji Sato, hidden deep within an underground base beneath the Shibuya district. Ryan Reynolds, Zoe Saldana, and Chris Hemsworth followed, each with their own mission. Matt gripped his pair of Beretta pistols, ready for the battle ahead. They stopped before a steel door in an abandoned train station. Zoe hacked the control panel, opening a path into a dark hallway where the sound of electronic music echoed from a distance. Matt gave the signal, and the team moved in silently. Suddenly, red lights flashed, and a squad of Yakuza soldiers appeared, MP5 submachine guns in hand. Matt lunged forward, launching a Muay Thai kick into the first man's chest, sending him flying into a wall. He fired 2 shots, taking down the second man before he could pull the trigger. Ryan knelt, using a Barrett sniper rifle to take down a man on the stairs, the bullet piercing through bulletproof glass. Zoe and Chris Hemsworth split up to deal with the remaining soldiers. Zoe swept through the hallway, using a judo throw to lock a man's arm before slamming his head into the wall. Chris threw a karate punch, taking down 2 Yakuza soldiers in an instant, whistling cheerfully all the while, but the sound of urgent footsteps from a distance signaled a new wave of attack. Matt led the team deeper into the base, avoiding surveillance cameras with his parkour skills. Leaping over obstacles like a shadow, they reached a large warehouse where Chris Pine stood, his eyes cold. He held a briefcase, possibly the stellar key. "You're late, Matt," Chris said, his voice full of challenge. Beside him, Angelina Jolie and Vin Diesel were ready to fight. Matt didn't answer, lunging forward with a series of Wing Chun strikes aimed at Chris's throat. He dodged and countered with a taekwondo kick, pushing Matt back. Angelina charged in, throwing a Muay Thai punch, but Matt blocked with a Krav Maga move, slamming her to the floor. Ryan took aim from a distance, but Vin Diesel threw a smoke grenade, obscuring their vision. Thick white smoke filled the area, and Chris Pine vanished into the darkness. Matt shouted, "Split up, find him." Zoe darted down the hallway after Vin. While Chris Hemsworth confronted Angelina, Matt chased after Chris Pine, moving swiftly past rows of containers with his parkour skills. A burst of gunfire from a Yakuza's machine gun came his way, but Matt rolled, returning fire with his Berettas. Taking down 3 men in an instant, he pursued Chris into a subway tunnel. The roar of an approaching train echoed from a distance, its headlights glaring. Chris jumped onto the tracks, running toward the oncoming train. Without hesitation, Matt leaped after him, delivering an Aikido kick to Chris's back. He staggered but turned, stabbing back with a dagger. Matt Dogged used a judo lock on Chris's arm and snatched the briefcase from his hand. But when he opened it, there was only an empty device inside. Another trap. Chris laughed loudly. Kenji Sato is 2 steps ahead of you. The stellar key can destroy Miami in just a few hours. He charged, unleashing a series of karate moves that forced Matt into a corner. Matt countered with a Muay Thai punch that hit Chris on the chin, then shot him once in the shoulder. Chris collapsed but was still smiling. You can't stop Kenji. He's in Shinjuku. A helicopter appeared. A rope was lowered, and it pulled Chris away before Matt could react. Matt returned and regrouped with his team. Ryan reported, I picked up a communication signal. Kenji Sato is in a penthouse in Shinjuku. He plans to use the stellar key to threaten the world. Zoe checked a tracking device, confirming the location. Chris Hemsworth smirked. Then let's go there and smash him. Matt nodded, but his eyes were filled with doubt. Jessica Alba was still a mystery, and the message about Tom Clancy kept replaying in his mind. His phone vibrated. A new message, Miami. 24 hours. Jessica is the threat. Find Tom. Matt gripped his phone. Feeling the immense pressure, Kenji Sato was in Tokyo, but Jessica Alba could be manipulating everything from afar. He turned to his team. Get ready. We're going into Shinjuku to get the stellar key. But be careful. The enemy isn't just in front of us. The battle in Tokyo was reaching its climax, and Matt knew that every step could be a deadly trap. After the fight in Tokyo, he had returned to Miami to hunt down Jessica Alba, who he now knew for certain was the traitor. Intel from Emma Stone was clear Jessica was not only working for Kenji Sato, but also had her own agenda to use the stellar key to manipulate global governments. Matt checked his Beretta pistols, feeling his steady heartbeat, ready for the coming storm. A black SUV pulled up outside. Jessica stepped out, her long coat soaked, her eyes cold. Following her was a team of mercenaries equipped with tactical gear and M4 rifles. You just don't know when to quit. Do you? Matt, she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Matt stood tall, not responding, his eyes scanning the soldiers. He knew this wasn't just a meeting, it was a purge. Suddenly, a smoke grenade flew into the warehouse. Thick white smoke filled the air, and the mercenaries charged in. Matt rolled, dodging a spray of bullets, then delivered a Muay Thai kick to the nearest man's chest, sending him flying into a metal container. He drew his pistol, fired 2 precise shots, and took down 2 other men, but a large man rushed him, swinging a combat knife. Matt dodged the blade, using a lightning-fast Jeet Kune Do strike to the man's throat, then finished him with a shot to the leg. Jessica stood outside the fight, watching with a faint smile. You're good, Matt, but not good enough. She gave a signal, and a soldier threw a live grenade. Matt leaped over a collapsed wall, avoiding the blast, but shrapnel grazed his shoulder, drawing blood. He gritted his teeth and charged out, using his parkour skills to climb onto the steel beams of the warehouse ceiling. From there, he took aim, taking down 3 soldiers with precise shots from his Berettas. But Jessica had vanished into the darkness. Matt jumped down and ran out into the rain. He saw Jessica climbing into an armored truck. He sprinted after it, leaping onto the roof just as it sped up. The driver swerved violently, trying to throw Matt off, but he held on tight. smashed the side window, and delivered a taekwondo kick to the man's face. The truck lost control and crashed into a utility pole. Matt rolled onto the ground, facing Jessica, who was now holding a Glock pistol. "You don't understand, Matt." Jessica snarled. "The Stellar Key is the key to controlling the world. The CIA doesn't deserve to have it." Matt shook his head. "You sold everyone out for power." He lunged, dodging a shot, then unleashed a series of Wing Chun strikes on Jessica's wrist, knocking the gun from her hand. She countered with a Krav Maga punch, but Matt blocked it, using an Aikido throw to slam her to the ground. He tied her hands and took the phone from her pocket. The phone's screen displayed a message: Kenji Sato, Shinjuku Penthouse, Tokyo. Stellar Key ready. Matt gripped the phone, realizing Kenji had moved from the underground base in Shibuya, but another message stunned him. "Tom Clancy is alive. Find me in Miami. 12 hours. He looked at Jessica, his gaze icy. "What do you know about Tom?" Jessica smiled faintly. "You'll be dead before you find out." Suddenly, the sound of a helicopter filled the air. A team of mercenaries rappelled down ropes, their machine guns blazing. Matt pulled Jessica in front of him as a human shield and rolled into a nearby alley. He returned fire, taking down 2 soldiers before they hit the ground. Another man charged, his dagger flashing. Matt used a judo lock on the man's arm, then delivered a Muay Thai kick to his knee, making him collapse. He ran through the alley, dragging Jessica with him, to an abandoned parking lot. There, Emma Stone was waiting on a motorcycle. "Get on!" she yelled. Matt pushed Jessica onto the bike and jumped on behind Emma. They sped through the streets of Miami, evading the pursuing helicopter. Emma weaved through traffic while Matt fired back, damaging the helicopter's rotor. It spiraled, crashing into an empty lot and exploding in a fireball. They stopped at a pier. Matt turned to Jessica. "Talk. What is Kenji Sato doing in Shinjuku?" Jessica was silent, but her eyes showed a hint of fear. Emma pulled a tracking device from Jessica's pocket, displaying the exact coordinates of the penthouse in Tokyo. "He's planning to activate the Stellar Key in 24 hours. Emma said. Matt nodded, his gaze resolute. "We'll get there before he does." But deep down, Matt knew that Tom Clancy was the final piece of the puzzle. He looked out at the sea, feeling the approaching storm. Kenji Sato, Chris Pine, and Jessica Alba were all pawns in a much larger game. Matt clenched his fists, ready to face it all to protect Miami and the world. The Tokyo night was brilliant with neon lights, but in the streets of Shinjuku, the air was chilling, heralding a life or death battle. Matt Damon sped on his motorcycle through the crowded traffic, his sharp eyes focused on his target, Kenji Sato's penthouse atop a skyscraper. The Stellar Key, a device capable of manipulating satellites, was there, and time was running out. Beside him, Chris Pine, once an enemy, was now a temporary ally to stop Kenji from causing a catastrophe. Matt tightened his grip on the handlebars, feeling the rush of adrenaline. The two of them sped through the brightly lit streets, dodging cars and pedestrians. A team of Yakuza soldiers in black SUVs appeared, their machine guns firing. Matt leaned, avoiding a spray of bullets, then drew his Beretta pistol and shot out the tires of the lead SUV. The vehicle flipped over, blocking the others. Chris jumped onto the sidewalk, delivering a taekwondo kick through the window of another SUV, taking out the driver. But a soldier fired a rocket from a distance, forcing Matt to leap from his motorcycle and roll into an alley. Flames from the rocket explosion erupted, illuminating Shinjuku. Matt rushed out, using his parkour skills to climb onto a billboard, avoiding a hail of machine gun fire. He jumped down, landed a Muay Thai punch on a Yakuza's face and put 2 bullets in another's chest. Chris appeared, his dagger flashing, and took down a soldier who was trying to ambush them. "Don't think I like you, Matt," Chris said with a smirk. Matt didn't reply, simply signaling to move forward. They reached the base of Kenji Sato's tower. The main entrance was locked, but Matt used a smoke grenade to distract the guards. He and Chris slipped through a side entrance and got into an elevator. In the confined space, Matt checked his gun, his eyes wary. "Why are you helping me?" he asked Chris. He shrugged. "Kenji wants to use the stellar key to dominate. I just want it for myself." Matt shook his head, knowing this alliance was as fragile as thin ice. The elevator opened onto a luxurious hallway, but Angelina Jolie and Vin Diesel were already waiting, leading a squad of Yakuza soldiers. Angelina lunged, throwing a Muay Thai punch. But Matt dodged and countered with a series of Wing Chun strikes to her wrist. Chris faced Vin, and the two clashed in a fierce exchange of karate and judo. Matt vaulted over a railing, used an Aikido throw to slam a soldier to the floor, then shot down 2 others with his Beretta. Angelina drew a dagger, stabbing repeatedly and forcing Matt into a corner. He blocked the blade with the butt of his gun, then landed a taekwondo kick to her chest, sending her stumbling back. Chris took down Vin with a karate punch, but a grenade from a Yakuza soldier exploded, causing part of the hallway to collapse. Matt and Chris ran through the smoke and dust, climbing the emergency stairs to the rooftop. The sound of gunfire echoed behind them, but they didn't stop. On the rooftop, a cold wind blew across as the lights of Tokyo stretched out endlessly. Kenji Sato stood there, the stellar key in his hand, his eyes cold. "You've arrived just in time," he said in a low voice, "but you're too late to save Miami." He held up the device, its screen displaying the trajectory of a satellite heading for Miami. Matt stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Kenji. "Let it go, or you will die." Kenji laughed and signaled for a team of bodyguards to appear. Matt and Chris charged in, working together like a machine. Matt delivered a Krav Maga punch, taking down one bodyguard, then shot another precisely in the shoulder. Chris used his dagger to slit another's throat, then vaulted over a railing and kicked the gun out of another's hand. But Kenji activated a defense system, causing the rooftop floor to shake. A steel wall rose up, separating Matt and Chris. Matt faced 3 bodyguards, each armed with a combat knife. He moved swiftly, using Jeet Kune Do to strike quickly, taking down the first with a punch to the throat. The second man lunged, but Matt dodged, using Aikido to lock his arm and slam him down. The last one raised his gun, but Matt fired first, the bullet lodging in his chest. On the other side of the wall, Chris yelled, "Matt, I'll hold them off. Go get the Stella." Matt ran towards Kenji, but he had hidden in a dark corner. A large screen on the rooftop displayed 12 seconds until satellite impact. Matt clenched his fists, knowing the final battle was coming. He looked towards where Kenji was hiding, his gaze calm but deadly. Tokyo was trembling, but Matt Damon never faltered under pressure. The penthouse rooftop in Shinjuku, Tokyo, trembled under the cold wind. Neon lights from the city below cast a glow, illuminating Matt Damon's face. His cold eyes focused on Kenji Sato. The crime lord stood in the shadows, holding the stellar key, its screen flashing a bright red number. 12 seconds until the satellite crashed into Miami. Chris Pine was trapped behind a steel wall, fighting Kenji's bodyguards, the sounds of gunfire and clashing metal echoing. Matt stood alone, ready to end it all. Kenji stepped out, a Glock pistol in hand, a sinister smile on his face. "You can't win." Matt, he said, pointing to the stellar key, Miami will burn, and the world will kneel before me. Matt didn't answer, his calm eyes watching Kenji's every move. He activated the device, and the 12-second countdown began. Each passing second was a heartbeat, but Matt remained still, his breathing as steady as a machine. 11 seconds. Kenji raised his gun and fired a shot. Matt leaned aside, the bullet grazing his shoulder, tearing through his jacket. He lunged forward, delivering a lightning-fast Wing Chun punch that struck Kenji's wrist, making him drop the gun. Kenji roared, retaliating with a karate kick. But Matt blocked it, using a judo hold to lock his arm. 9 seconds. Kenji broke free, drew a dagger, and stabbed repeatedly. Matt dodged the blade, landing a Muay Thai kick to Kenji's chest, sending him staggering back against the railing. He laughed, holding up the stellar key. You're too late, 7 seconds. Matt was unfazed, his eyes still cold. Analyzing Kenji's every move, he threw the dagger, but Matt caught it in mid-air, spun around, and threw it back, embedding it in Kenji's shoulder. 5 seconds. Kenji screamed in pain but held tight to the stellar key. Matt rushed in, delivering a rapid series of Wing Chun strikes to Kenji's chest and face, making him stumble. 3 seconds. Matt snatched the stellar key, threw it to the floor, and stomped on it. The device shattering under his heel, the screen went black. The satellite stopped its descent. Kenji roared and lunged with a final punch, but Matt fired a shot from his Beretta, the bullet lodging in his leg. Kenji collapsed, unconscious. The steel wall collapsed, and Chris Pine emerged, blood on his shirt, but still alive. You did it, he said, his voice weary. Matt looked at Chris, his eyes wary. Whose side are you on? Chris shrugged. No one's. I just wanted the stellar key for myself. But before Matt could reply, a team of mercenaries appeared, led by Jessica Alba, who had escaped from Miami. She held an MP5 submachine gun, her eyes filled with hatred. You ruined everything. Matt, she snarled. Matt and Chris immediately teamed up. Matt rolled, dodging a volley of bullets, then delivered a taekwondo kick, taking down one soldier. He fired repeatedly, downing 2 others, while Chris used a dagger to slit another's throat. Jessica opened fire, forcing them both back, but Ryan Reynolds appeared in the distance, firing a single shot from a Barrett. The bullet hitting Jessica's shoulder. She fell, but not before activating a small device. A screen on the rooftop lit up another satellite was heading for Miami. Matt lunged, restraining Jessica with an Aikido lock, forcing her to talk. Abort it. Or you did. Jessica gave a faint smile. It's too late. Tom Clancy planned it all. Matt was stunned. But there was no time to think. Zoe Saldana and Chris Hemsworth arrived. Carrying a jamming device, Zoe hacked into the system, disabling the satellite just seconds before impact. Miami was saved. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the rooftop. Tom Clancy, the man Matt thought was dead, stepped out, looking calm. Good work, Matt, he said. I had to fake my death to bring you back. Matt clenched his fists, a sense of betrayal rising within him. Why? Tom Sayhed. Shadow Force needs you. Kenji was just a pawn. The real enemy is still in the shadows. Matt looked at Tom, his eyes full of suspicion. But he knew this wasn't the time to argue. Jessica was tied up. Kenji was captured, and the Stellar Key was destroyed. But this victory was only temporary. Matt turned to his team and ordered, "Get ready. We're not done yet." He walked to the railing. Looking down at the glittering Tokyo, a message arrived, Miami. 48 hours. The enemy is waiting. Matt gave a faint smile. The next battle was coming. And Matt Damon, the lone agent, was always ready.